Hello, welcome back to the channel. It is Joel and I'm really delighted to introduce you to a new video about live looping devices, and tonight I'm really delighted to introduce you to the Glou Glou Loupé from France. This came out last year. It's a looping device which take the legacy from the EDP or Ecoplex Digital Pro kind of devices. And now this is more than a week that I have the unit, and with this video I would like to share with you my first thoughts and impression about it. So don't expect a tutorial. I won't explain how to loop with it, how it works in detail, but if you would like to have this kind of content, I highly suggest you to go and check Andre Lafosse YouTube channel, because he has a wonderful series of tutorials, very well done and in-depth, about the loupé, its functionality and how it works. And also for me these videos were really helpful when I started to get in touch with the unit, and I'm still learning, and these videos are always handy and good to have to recheck out what's going on exactly inside this wonderful complicated device which is the loupé. So I got the loupé because I started to get interested into this kind of EDP kind of looping devices. And for me, Loupé introduced few things which to me are really new and are functions and way to create loops that I never dealt with. So after more than 10 years using looping devices, loopers and live looping, for me it's really refreshing, and on a way it's also a game changer to have started using the Loupé. For example, new for me how they do works are this EDP style of function, like the multiply, the insert and the instat, which are very powerful shaping tools, which allows you to change at will the length of the loop. And on this extent, I'm really delighted how easy and flexible it is to use this. And for example, the multiply, how it works on the loupé, it's very cool, because not only it allows you to create a loop which is, it may be a multiple of your starting loop, for example from 1 bar you go 2 bar, 3 bar and 4 bar, but depending how you set these, you could also possibly from 4 bar, for a 4 bars multiplied loop, you could go back and remultiply to 1 bar. Or you can freely also use the multiply, so that for example I can resample just a tiny bit of it or something a bit longer. With the insert and the instat you have the possibility to insert new materials into the loop, with the difference that instat not only will insert new materials, but it will also resample a tiny bit of the loop when you are using the function. And so these are new, and to me also very powerful features about this loop and this kind of EDP style of looping, because they give you real flexibility to control the loop, how it morphs and it evolves over time. And then of course what for me it makes Loupé amazing and unique on its own are the Read-FXs, because with the Read-FXs you can really start to really shape what you are doing with the loops and sound design it, etc, etc. And also here I like a lot the idea behind, the concept behind the Loupé, because actually in the Loupé, if you want, you kind of like have two reading head, one being the dry head and the second one the FX head. So for example, if you apply a reverse, that reverse is not applied on the dry head, there you have only a copy of your original loop, and the effects are applied to this FX head. And the cool part of having these two heads is that you can combine and mix between dry and FX heads, so you can really create some intricate texture that with other loopers are not possible. And also the cool thing, you can set, when you are in overdub or you have a lower decay feedback, you can also decide how much of the Read-FXs and it's resampled and relooped inside the dryad, so that you can really fix these effects into the dryad, and so you can really go mad and create some evolving stuff that with other looping devices I never saw it. So on this extent, Loupé, it's very deep and it's amazing. Another thing which I like a lot about Loupé, it's a point that I know at the very beginning when it came out, many people complained that Loupé doesn't have MIDI in, MIDI out, it doesn't have a MIDI mapping, you only have a sync out which can send a sync log, so we would like more to use the Loupé as a master to sync other devices. But to me, it's forgettable, this manco of the MIDI, because actually instead of the MIDI you have the games, and the games, it's another very powerful tool you have inside the Loupé, because the games allows you to reconfigure and customize per game parameters of the Loupé, like for example you have a low pass and an high pass filter, the quantization, and most important to me, you can customize the 5 foot switches, what they are doing, what they are controlling, as well as these 4 control buttons on the side. So this for me skips the manco of a MIDI mapping and a MIDI input, MIDI out, and actually it's like, for me, it's like having a configurable MIDI controller already built into the Loupé. So on this extent it's very powerful as well. Down the side you see my other looper, the LP2, which at the moment it's my main loop and the one I use mostly. And I already had a few questions during this week where people asked me how different are these units. And first of all, the workflow. These units are totally different from a workflow side. For example, Superlative, it's more simple and it's more standard, like many loopers you find out there. Also to use, it's more straightforward and simple. You mean it's quite clear. You have record and overdub, play and stop. Here you have the FX foot switch, which you can assign to different effects. While Loupé, being an EDP style of looper, it's still new. I'm still learning how to use it. It's very powerful, but on our way it's also very complex, especially when we start to talk about the Read-FXs, because it took me a while to understand how to program things the way I want, and I'm still learning. And it also took me a while to understand how does Loupé works, and for example, how can I record a Read-FX so that it becomes fixed. For example, if I would like to reverse a loop on the Loupé, I do my bass loop, I put it in reverse, and that's it. Then if I wanna do an overdub on that loop, I can do the overdub, then I have my bass loop in reverse, the overdub in forward, and when I repress the reverse, I have back my bass loop in forward and the overdub in reverse. While on the Loupé, I had to learn a bit, and for example, I overcome this thing in the sense that, I can make you an example. I do a loop. Then I have the reverse assigned. I can assign the Read-FX to be engaged at the ending, at the start, and disengaged at the ending of my bar. So reverse turns on at the end of the bar and off at the end, so that when I'm in overdub modus I can reverse the loop. And now, for example, if I record an overdub layer and then retrigger the reverse and wait 1 bar, and turn it off. At the end I will more or less end with my bass loop in forward and the overdub in reverse. So it's a bit more tricky to use maybe for this part, but I think once you get used to and understand how to work around this thingy, it's really flawless and flawless to use. The other differences, for example, is the manipulation you can apply to the loops. For example, in the Loupé we have the reverse and the half speed, which is standard. You have also this mellotron modus where you can chromatically change the note of the loop, the pitch of the loop, and also its speed. You have the scramble, which takes your loop, chop it into smaller chunks, and then rearrange this randomly. It's, for example, something you don't have in the Loupé. I don't know if maybe you can recreate something like that with the Read-FXs. I'm still learning, so who knows, maybe in future. But my first impression, you don't have a scramble in the Loupé. Then of course in the LP2 you have also all the replace it, may this be free or quantized. And of course the feedback. You have also feedback on the Loupé, of course, the decay knob, which is a powerful tool. The stretch, you can recreate that by using the instat or with the stutter combining with drift. You can also do this kind of stretchy stuff. But the Loupé has something which other devices doesn't have, and that is that you can mix in the Read-FXs against the dry sound, so you can really create this intricate texture which are not possible with other devices. Also a big difference, and this is something I was scared a bit about the Loupé at the very beginning, and the main difference being that the Loupé LP2, it's a multi-track looper, so standalone you access to 2 stereo loops. If you use external MIDI you can go up to 4 stereo loops, so you have at least 2 loops with which you can play with. And then for me, for example, when I do my ambient set for the Montax concert, it's a very powerful thingy, because for example on a loop I have my drones, on the other loop I can do more my beats, so, and I can during the set with these 2 loops go back and forward and develop my set. Whereas the Loupé, it's only 1 stereo loop, and well, at the end, being used to the LP2, I was a bit scared, not only that I only have 1 stereo loop on the Loupé, but in the end I must admit, with the multiply and all the shaping functions you have with the Read-FXs, actually you can also do wonderful evolving soundscapes also with the Loupé. So in the end, just more depends what you have to do and how it's your idea about creating the set. For example, also a big difference is that I saw by using LP2 and the Loupé is that, for example, with the LP2, you maybe want to already create a complex sound and then loop it and record it, overdub it, whatever. Of course, you can then manipulate something with the reverse, half speed and stretch, but you won't already have a already complex sound and record it on the LP2, while Loupé, being such a powerful machine with all the Read-FXs, there I saw it's more interesting to record a simpler sound and then start develop that and mangle that on the Loupé with the Read-FXs. And on this extent, Loupé, it's a wonderful and very powerful sound design machine. This said, Loupé, it's a wonderful device for experimental music, for sound design purposes, for Freepentronics, ambient, noise. It's really amazing. You can do stuff with no other looping device can do at the moment. but it's complex and it's deep. It will take you some time to learn it and to understand how to use it. So if you need just a simple, something more simple, don't go for the Loupé. And just know that you will have sometimes a learning phase to understand how it works. But after that point, and you start to understand how the multiply works, how the structure is of the looping, the workflow, the Read-FXs, how to manage them and create them, then it becomes a really enjoyable and amazing machine to use. Okay, I hope this video was for helped you to a bit understand what's going on within the Loupé, how it does compare with other units. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time. Ciao!